What's going on, y'all, and happy Thursday. I hope everybody out there is happy and healthy. Now, with all of that said, let's go ahead and slide on these topics. And the first thing I want to discuss is this situation that's going down with Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. So apparently, Kelsey's bodyguard has come out and he's singing a different tune. He's saying that Kelsey is responsible for putting a slug in Megan, and it wasn't Tory. So this really looks bad for Megan Thee Stallion, also Roc Nation, and the fact that Tory was just knifed up just a couple of days ago makes you believe that Roc Nation was behind this because they knew that this information was about to surface. You know what I'm saying? So there was a press conference on yesterday, and I want you guys to check out what Mr. Roberts had to say about this whole ordeal.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Miss Harris had, where she stated she fired it 3 times. Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that, never fired. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Shots came from the passenger side. The passenger side is where Miss Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or was it taken and again, simply not given to the defense?
All right, so you guys just heard all of that. Now, my question is, if the bodyguard of Kelsey's talked about this information or presented this information not long ago, then why didn't Tory's team present this information to the public as soon as they got it from the bodyguard? Why now? I mean, I can understand the dynamic of Tory getting knifed up in prison could have prompted this swift response, but it would have been a lot more swifter and a lot more appropriate if you released this information as soon as the bodyguard told you about this. Now, when I look at this situation in its totality, I've come to the conclusion that Tory Lanez is locked up because he was in possession of a firearm and not the fact that he actually discharged it. I believe that it was easy to frame Tory because he's already a felon and he was in possession of that firearm. And at the end of the day, even though Meg was mad at Kelsey over Tory and the fact that both of them were being intimate with him at the same time, it seems as though that at the end of the day, Megan elected to protect Kelsey. Now, you guys remember that despicable phrase that was used by many men within the melanated community? I don't hear it too much these days, but MOB, money over B's. Well, I personally think in this situation, and what I'm about to say is no disrespect to women. You guys know that I don't come at women like that, but I think that given the situation with Meg possibly knowing that Kelsey actually is the one that put a slug in her, and if all of this checks out, she applied her own slogan to this, and it's BON, B's over ninjas. Because clearly, if you know that your best friend is the one that's responsible for this, you definitely showed your loyalty to her even though you know that she violated you in that manner and y'all were fighting over the same dude. So to me, it seems as though that Meg's main objective was to get back at Tory, to make him pay for being disloyal. Now, a lot of people are discussing the fact that Chris Brown jumped on Instagram and posted to his story, and basically he just said free Tory. Now, I believe that Chris Brown has always been in Tory's corner as it pertains to this, and I believe the two of them are good friends. He's even helped Tory out financially with his legal fees, but at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. And does this information coming from Kelsey's former bodyguard change things? Does this lead to the release of Tory Lanez? We'll just have to sit back and watch, right? But anyway, let's move along and let's talk about the Diddy trial. So we know that Suge Knight and Diddy have quite the history, right? They were friends at one time, then they turned to foes and things of that nature, and then ever since, everything went downhill, right? Now, Suge was on News Nation and he gave his thoughts of how this trial is going to go. I want you guys to take a listen to what Suge Knight had to say.
I still feel that Puffy's going to be all right and have a fair shot at it, because Puffy he's not a dummy. And I'm quite sure somebody's going to talk to those jurors and convince one or two of them, and that's all he needs is one. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a real exciting situation, but I think he's going to be all right.
Suge, do you think he's going to be all right because someone's going to tamper with the jury? Is that what you're trying to say?
He got enough influence, and I'm quite sure. Don't seem like the prosecution is that bad against him. Don't seem like I think he got some favors with the government. I think they're going to show him a little leeway. It might not seem like it when it's all said and done, but I don't think he has nothing to worry about. I don't think he's worried because he's going to be federal. And if he gets convicted, Trump's going to pardon him. So what's the worry?
You think the President of the United States would pardon Sean Combs for trafficking?
Pardon Michael Harris, who allegedly a teenager or had him. So they don't care about that. It's all about, what's in it for the long run and what the bucks say and what the power of the people want.
Suge, I got to tell you,
Trump's not scared.
I can't argue with your eyes on the situation because you lived it and you understand the dynamics. And I appreciate you going through all the hoops to call us and weigh in on this.
All right, so you guys heard what Suge had to say. Basically, he says that he feels like Diddy is going to be okay and that he's ultimately going to get off. Now, that's the sentiment that I'm hearing from people that are close on the ground covering the Diddy trial. A lot of people are saying that Diddy's team is so strong that they don't see how he doesn't get out of this. But at the end of the day, there are curveballs that could be thrown every which way, and Diddy could see his fate and ultimately go to prison, right? But anyway, let's shift the conversation to Cassie taking a stand on yesterday, and she revealed a lot more. Now, I do want to bring this up, and I know this is just a small, minute piece of information that she talked about on the stand, but remember, I told you guys, and I'm looking for the actual video. Like I told you all, I'm by myself. I do everything myself, but I'm trying to find the video when I told you guys. But those of you who follow me tight, when there was this settlement, right, this $30 million settlement that Cassie was seeking, I told you guys that Cassie only got $20 million, and that came from my plug. And she got on the stand yesterday and admitted that. So Diddy only gave her $20 million, and of course Cassie accepted that, but it wasn't the full 30 or the 40 or the 50 that people were running around on the internet saying. But anyway, the biggest takeaway for me on yesterday as it pertains to this trial is the fact that Jonathon Oddi has now entered the chat. So Cassie acknowledged that she knew who Jonathon Oddi was. We know that Jonathon Oddi told us that he was Diddy's SEX, SLAVE, and so he also talked about the fact that he settled or signed an NDA with Diddy for $5 million. He said that Diddy gave him, or he was in a setting where he contracted HERPES and things like that. Now, we're also privy to the fact that Jonathon Oddi pew-pewed up the Trump National Durrell Golf Club in Miami on May 18th, 2018, and he was ultimately arrested, and I believe he suffered a few shots to the legs too. And also, if my memory serves me correct, I believe that Jonathon suffered suffered a broken arm at the scene. But anyway, like I said, the NDA that Jonathon Oddi signed, it has now been exposed, and his ex-wife, who's an attorney, Tanya Troutwine, I believe that's how you pronounce it, told the Daily Mail that the timing of the contract coincided with their divorce, and she said that Jonathon was rushing to finalize their divorce because he had came into all of this money. So Jonathon filed for divorce back in August of 2014, and according to his ex-wife, Jonathon went from being in debt to purchasing all of these properties in Florida for like $765,000. So apparently Jonathon had a lot of information on Diddy that Diddy was afraid of getting out, and Jonathon alluded to the fact that there were people always following him and that he was afraid for his life. Guys, I want you to check out this clip where he talks about recording when he got together with Diddy and Cassie using a USB stick.
Or why did you decide to record or video?
Because after she passed out, I decided to record that. So in the event anything worse happened, like if she died, or anybody died, it will be on camera, it will be on video, what happened. So I wouldn't be responsible for any of that.
So you were beginning to worry about her doing, like about her dying or him dying or somebody dying from this, and that you would be held responsible. So you brought a video. You brought your phone?
No, I had a USB video memory stick done like Spy Shop, and I put it in the water on the table, in the living room table of the hotel I was staying at. I just filmed it, and it had everything I described, and it had her threatening me, but he was telling her what to say. They had an argument. When I left, I knew they were paranoid. So I wanted to guarantee my safety. So I texted him. I said, "Hey, if anything happens to me, I got evidence I've been with you." At the settlement table, there was a lot of irregularities. Okay, It was my first settlement. So they brought me in, and Diddy had a T-shirt with 2 men in ski masks pointing, making gun signs. Okay, and it was black and white, and it had a red frame. Okay, but that's the way he operates. He communicates, threatening you, like saying, "I'm gonna have you."
So Oddi says to prevent the recording from going public, that's what he was just talking about, Diddy had him sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, in exchange for $5 million in hush money. This was in 2014. The Daily Mail ran a screenshot of what appears to be a signature page signed by Sean Combs and Oddi. We have not been able to obtain the document or verify its contents or authenticity, nor have we been able to verify the existence of the video that you heard him talking about. Now, according to Daily Mail's report, the timing coincided with a spending spree by Oddi of Florida real estate, and it also coincided with Oddi's divorce. His ex-wife tells the Daily Mail that she found out about his windfall only after their split.
All right, so you guys heard what Jonathon had to say about the situation. He definitely covered his own ASS just in case somebody tried to do something to him. He made sure that he had evidence that would link back to Diddy, and that was smart. And this is the thing, I also commend him for actually setting up shop and recording everything, because he was worried about Cassie's safety. And although he mentioned that he was worried about Diddy's safety as well, I think ultimately Jonathon had a high level of concern about how Cassie would fare through all the turmoil that she was going through, if we're going to keep it all the way above. But anyway, I want to move along and share with you some explosive news that was passed on to me on yesterday. I was talking to somebody that's a real journalist, no YouTubers, right? And that's no shade to them. Do your thing and get your money. But I'm talking to real journalists that have connections to real media networks, okay? Now, with all of that said, allegedly, the prosecution team has now gotten their hands on 2 tapes that come from Kim Porter's archives, right? And these 2 tapes contain Kim Porter visibly on these videos herself admitting certain things that transpired during her relationship with Diddy. I'm told that these tapes contain information from deletion for hire. You guys know I'm paraphrasing there. You just insert the M word there. I'm also told that these tapes express multiple instances of R, all right, involving women and men, all right, and young men to be exact. And get this, y'all, this is pretty heavy. I'm also told that there's admission in regard to the sacrificing of CHILDREN, and also it contains many secrets of the Black Boule, which is a secret society of Black powerful Hollywood men. Also, there are Black powerful women that are included into this club, like Oprah, Beyonce, and etc., right? And there's so much more that I can express here, but I'm trying to find a way to figure out how to convey it to you guys without it coming across too sinister and demonic. But I'm gonna just draw the line right here, and I want you guys to feel free to drop down in the comments to let me know about what you think as it pertains to everything that I discussed in this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you're new here, consider subbing to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Yep,